invite Ms. Jan Saeed, Director Global Peace and Spirituality, Westminster College, Salt Lake City.
Hello. Namaste. Namaste? Is there anyone there? Are you awake? I guess namaskar is more appropriate for here. We speak many languages. We come from many countries. The scriptures from the world religions come from many different times. And we've had speakers that have given such great illumination on the history from 5,000 years plus of how these religions and these scriptures have guided us. Religious scriptures and the promise of world peace, it is inevitable. From the country of the United States, there are many indigenous peoples, over 500 nations. Black Elk was a great spiritual leader of the Oglala Lakota American Indians, and he was born in 1863. One of his teachings, or scriptures that was orally passed down, was that all is really one. That all is really one. That all things are our relatives. What we do to everything, we do to ourselves. All is really one. We have the ability to change to a more integrative, peaceful way. What we now need is volition to act. Peace is not only possible, but it's inevitable. It is spoken in many different ways in all the scriptures of the world's religions. But what is peace? We've talked about peace within the individual. We've had time to meditate. We've had time to talk about family, tribes, nations. At this point in the history of humanity, we have come together to a world peace dome. We are changing the structure of society. Instead of a dome that says this is a building to talk of war, to talk of strategizing, to build hate and violence and separation, which we still see today, we and many others from around the globe are working towards peace. The word Baha'i means follower of the glory of God. And as stated before, God, in many different languages, is that unknowable essence, that spirit that unites us, that created even the Big Bang. Today we take trains, planes, we've flown here to find peace and talk about it. Baha'is have a very optimistic perception that it's not only possible but inevitable, and that each of us has a role to play. And I want you to think right now, because I'm going to ask you to talk to one of your neighbors in a minute about how do you make peace happen today? What can you do between now and the time you go hit the pillow in your room tonight? What can I do that will help to create peace? I want you to think about also, what can I do this year to create greater peace? The life-giving scriptures, as well as positive-minded scientists and philosophers around the world, have all spoken that it's not just a me thing or an I, it is all of us together. The Golden Rule speaks of it in all religions. We've been hearing that. The principle of the oneness of humankind. This principle of the oneness of mankind does not mean uniformity of mankind, but that we honor, we recognize, and appreciate the humanness of everyone. The principle is the pivot around which all the teachings of Baha'u'llah revolve, and it's not a mere ignorant emotionalism or expression of vague, pious hope. Its implications are deeper, its claims greater than any of the prophets of old were allowed to advance. They could have, but it wasn't the time. Its message is applicable not only to the individual, but it concerns primarily the nature of all the essential relationships that must bind all states and nations as members of one human family. It implies an organic change in the structure of our present society, a change that the world has not yet seen or experienced. It constitutes a challenge, at once bold and universal, to outworn shibboleths of national creeds that have had their day and must change the course and events controlled by God, give way to a new gospel, fundamentally different from and infinitely superior to what the world has already conceived. It calls for no less than the reconstruction and demilitarization of the whole civilized world, nonviolence, a world organically unified, and all the essential aspects of its life, its political machinery, its spiritual, its trade and finance, its script and language, and yet infinite in diversity of national characteristics. Only ideas born of God can be succeeding in establishing it. People of faith of all religions in an ever-unfolding, advancing civilization working together can promote this principle of the oneness of mankind. This conference is a call to action, and in that light, I'd like you to turn to your neighbor and look them in the eye. Find one of your neighbors and look them in the eye. This is a test. Instead of looking at me, look at your neighbor and tell them what you will do for peace right now. I'm giving you a minute, and tell them what you will do for peace this year. I'm giving you another 30 seconds of my time. I want to hear a lot of noise in this room. Please start talking. What will you do for peace today? What will you do for peace this year? Talk to your neighbor. Be brave. Some of you are not talking. Find a neighbor and say one word. You have 10 more seconds. Thank you for those of you that did. I'm like the ones of you that didn't. It's so scary to open our mouths and talk to someone. We are so afraid of talking to our neighbor that we don't know, or even the friend that is so close about these deep spiritual topics. And yet we have so many scholars in this room that we can pontificate, we can talk at high levels about what we believe about the unity of religion and the oneness of mankind. But can we reach out to our neighbors at home when we leave this place and talk about these principles? And some of them are as simple as, I will be having empathy for my friend. I will seek justice for those that are less fortunate than I. We don't all have to build a peace dome, but maybe we can build a global peace and spirituality center on our campus, as my dear students in Salt Lake City at Westminster College have done. We call it a GPS center, a Global Peace and Spirituality Center. GPS. Scientifically, we know about that. But GPS, Global Peace and Spirituality Center, is a place where we're finding our way in the world. We're creating compassionate, global-minded peacemakers who are changing the world. It is with great hope that I am here on the 150th anniversary, again at the end of the year, of Mahatma Gandhi's birth, a true statesman and spiritual leader. He stated, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Baha'u'llah said, "Be the fruits of one tree, the leaves of one branch, the flowers of one garden. The earth is but one country, and mankind are its citizens." We are blessed to see the earth as one home, that we are all people from that one home, one earth. We are one human race, as we've heard all day today. May we leave this gathering racing for the goal of being part of a loving, compassionate human race, a human family. As Black Elk admonishes us, all is really one. Thank you for inviting me. Vaisudaiva Kutumbakam. Salam, Shalom, Alawapa, Namaste, Namaskar, Om Shanti.